What's good, folks? Welcome back to the podcast. It's your boy, Deron Harris, and this is the Deron Harris Podcast, or the Deron Harris Program, whatever you want to call it. As long as you say Deron Harris with it, I don't really care. What's happening, folks? Welcome back. Let's see, what are we talking about today? Talking about a few things. Main subject, though, is going to be about Christianity, politics, and the bullshit in between. So that's really kind of what I want to touch on, but there's a few other things I want to get to first. The first thing I really always want to get to in the latter episodes, or these episodes that I'm doing now, is the solid mental health check. So I don't know if anybody knew it, but last week was mental health. There was a Mental Health Awareness Day, and I'm glad that they do stuff like that because, like I said in previous episodes, that mental health is something that we all need to take serious. We all need to start taking it serious because, it's just as debilitating as a regular illness. People think that, people fake their mental health conditions. A lot of people believe that people fake that shit, and I find it hard to believe. I mean, we all at some juncture in our life, we have all been put through some sort of trauma that may have scarred us, some more than others. I know myself, my struggles with it, so, it's far beyond me to put it past, to judge anybody for their, now, are there people out there who fake it? Absolutely. But I think that you can see through that relatively quickly, as opposed to somebody who actually has something that's deep rooted, that's been bothering them. And, if you do have that, I encourage everybody to go out and seek help. I thought I was the man, Mr. Macho Man. I could get through it. I just go to work and not really worry about it. But that really didn't do anything but hurt me even further. So, I finally went and got treatment, and I'm glad that I actually went and do that. So, shout out to my therapist and my wife and my mother for, helping me get my mental health game back on. And it's a long road to climb. I'm not by any stretch of the imagination perfect. I ain't crushing the game yet, but I'm making strides, and as long as I'm making strides, as long as I'm trying, that's the least I could do. So let's see what we got going on, man. I mean, there's been like lots of shit in the news, man. There's lots of shit going down. I want to shout out Joe Biden for his efforts to make weed legal everywhere. Just legal here in the United States. I admire that. Thanks, Joe. I appreciate it. You got some other shit to work on, but you know what? This is a start. You know what I'm saying? So, and I'll tell you what, there's Democrats and Republicans who burn it up. So, I got some Republican friends that I burn it up with regularly. So it is what it is. I got some Democratic buddies who like to chief it down too. So, it is what it is. So, let's see, man, what's going on? Listen. So much stuff is going on, man. Let me see. I'm just kind of flipping through some shit. I saw something that really kind of made me laugh about Akon. Akon, man. I think this is actually pretty dope, and I think this is probably gonna be my dope shit award this week. Akon admitted that when he couldn't make a show, he had his brother perform as his body double. So his brother was actually performing for him when he couldn't make the show, or he was sick or some other shit. He just wanted to do it. So his brother would go out there as Akon. So I think that shit is hilarious that people couldn't tell that was Akon on stage. But, if I'm looking at a picture of both of them, if you put some glasses on, homie, yeah, it's his brother, all right. But Akon knows a little while, and Akon looked like he a little taller than him too, so. But I just think that's funny as hell that, he just decided that, bro, I don't want to do this tonight. You want to fill in, dude? You want to go make this money for me, bro? I appreciate it. I'll break you off a couple of dollars. I'll buy you some Chinese food. How about that? I think that shit is funny, man. But shout out to Akon and his brother for pulling the wool over everybody's eyes. So, man, what else? Man? What's going on, man? There's lots of stuff going on. Let me see. Oh, yeah, Barbie got a new Tina Turner doll out. I think that's kind of cool, I think they should have, I think they should have more like more diversity, not just Tina Turner, but let's get a Beyonce doll, let's get a Mariah Carey doll. How about a Halle Berry doll or something like that? Halle Berry Barbie, Halle Barbie. How about that? Let's get down with that. You know what I mean? Or just some regular girl Barbies. I want to see a Barbie, with a chick with like some nappy hair and that classic African American nose, or like Jewish Barbie or something where Barbie got like this big beak. You know what I'm saying? And she's always verklempt. Some Jewish Barbie. Jamaican Barbie would be good. I think that would be good, man. Puerto Rican Barbie. I think that should be dope. I really think they need to come out on some wepa. But I think that's pretty good. Barbie kind of, they branching out a little bit. I got a niece, my nephew's daughter. I got a niece, and she was watching some new Barbie on TV, and Barbie got some like diverse friends, and Ken got a couple of homeboys out there that's on some diversity. So they trying to make Barbie, they trying to make Barbie not Karen like it. They trying to make her not synonymous with. But Barbie is still who she is. She's still Barbie. She always gonna be Barbie. So, you know what I'm saying? So it is what it is. What else I want to talk about? A couple other things. I saw that Bruno Mars and Anderson .Paak, the duo that make up Silk Sonic, are bowing out of the Grammy nominations. They're not going to submit their album for the Grammy. Details are sketchy at this point. I'm not exactly sure why, but I think that's a shame, man, because what a great time in music it was. They really kind of they put it back, man. They got some nostalgia back in it. They got people listening to like soul music again. I love that, man. I really do. But for some reason or another, now I'll find out later. I'll find out and figure out what's going on with it. But, they decided they're not doing it. So, I'm sorry to hear that, but, you got to respect their decision. So, hopefully they'll continue to make music together, and maybe they'll submit in the future. Maybe they'll change their mind on this one because, why not? Why not, man? Lots of crazy shit in the news, too, man. Let's see. What am I looking at? I'm just kind of thumbing through the news, man, just seeing what's happening. Let me see. Carjacking victim killed after being dragged by a stolen vehicle. People wild out here, man. What you doing, man? Just for somebody's car, and if they're going to get you anyway. Damn, bro. Now you can kill somebody, man. Some dragging somebody. What a way to go. You know what I'm saying? A carjacking victim. You didn't have to drag me, dude. Just let me get out the fucking car. You can have that shit. I think they should have... I remember one James Bond movie that I watched that some dude tried to steal James Bond's car, and that shit blew up with the dude in it. And if I tell you what, that would deter some motherfuckers if they was trying to like steal your car, if your car just blew up and then insurance covered it. That would be dope, right? I think that would be dope. So I don't know, man. It's just a lot going on, man. There's so much stuff going on in the news, sports, the Little Mermaid controversy. That's just so stupid, man. Just come on, man. People trying to compare, the Little Mermaid to actual characters, actual people. What if, somebody played Martin Luther King? Well, Martin Luther King was a real person, and Ariel that lives under the sea, that bitch is fake. So it don't matter who plays it. Just like, Anthony Mackie, they want him to be Captain America. People, Captain America is a white guy. Who says who? Who says who? Hats off to dude, and hats off to Marvel for being for thinking forward. And you know what? Hats off to Disney for not caring about what people are saying, and they're gonna keep doing it. So, keep looking out for Disney princesses of color and the remakes of people who you thought was this person is really turning out to be somebody else. You know what I'm saying? They get so mad that, this little girl is the Little Mermaid, but when they get box braids and all the stuff, they groundbreaking and all that, man, come on, miss me with that. Come on, listen, stop. Stop playing. Stop playing. Let's see. What am I listening to this week? I am listening to, on my earbuds, I'm listening to Sade, man. Sade's got some new music. I saw in the news that she's got new music that she's putting together. So I know I don't even have to. I'm going to go ahead and call it out. This is Deron Harris's Psychic Abilities. I'm going to give you some psychic abilities right now. You ready? Ready? Psychic abilities. I predict that Sade is going to be nominated for at least 2 Grammys as soon as her album comes out. When her album does finally come out, I think and I hope, and you know what? I believe, that she's going to get nominated for some Grammys because she makes dope ass music, man. She does. She makes dope music. Actually, you know what? That's probably going to be my dope shit and my earbuds is the fact that Sade is actually making music again. And shout outs to all the people, making like all of the people from our, the classics making music. The Isley love. Listen, Ronald Isley is 81 years old and crushing it still. My auntie went and, last week, and went to the concert, showed me some video of man, this dude's still doing it, still sound like the same Ronald Isley, breaking it down, man. And I just love that, So, the Dope Shit Award goes to artists, from our past making the comeback. Morris Day, man. Morris Day coming back with some new stuff, man. Everybody. I think Morris Day and Big Daddy Kane, I think that was the earbuds. One time I was listening. Morris Day came back. Big Daddy Kane coming out with new stuff. Everybody's starting to come back with new stuff. I can't wait till Rakim get back up on the horse. Come on, y'all. Give me some real music because I'll tell you what. Now, I'm a fan of a lot of new hip-hop, man. I really am. A lot of it. A lot of new hip-hop. I get down with J. Cole. I'm always down with Kendrick Lamar. I do like some Drake. I like Big Sean, Joyner Lucas. I do like Logic. There's a lot of dudes, My Son. There's a lot of dudes out there, King Los. But I'm telling you, man, there's some dudes I'm really not feeling right now. And even though they like the hot dude in the country, man, like this dude, like Lil Baby or whatever, I'm not feeling dude, man. He was on like Funk Flex Freestyles and dude, I'm just like, bruh, okay. I mean, all right, if that's what it is, okay, man, but I don't even know what to say, man. I mean, it's like, it's if you like it, I want to knock the hustle. Let me stop first. Let me back it up a little bit. Let me back it up. Homie got it popping, and let me not knock his hustle. You know what I'm saying? Because he is like the hot nigga in town. So, let him get his accolades, and not for nothing, let me not bash the young black man for going out and getting his. But man, I want to support. But it was difficult. It was stressful to listen to. It was stressful, you know what I'm saying? I mean, maybe some of the stuff. I mean, let me not get it twisted. I have listened to a couple of tracks of his that are not half bad, but I don't know. Maybe it was just the Funk Flex freestyle that just gave me some gave me some some sour taste. But dude, man, maybe I'll get some backlash, maybe not, but man, I don't know, man. Anyway, what's popping now? Yeah, actually, let's do the strain of the week real fast. I was gonna take a break first, and come back with that. But I think I'm going to just go ahead and do it. Strain of the week, went to the True Leaf Dispensary once again here in the little town that I live in. And it's hard to find some things. And I did learn some new things about, I learned about terpenes. I was kind of oblivious to terpenes. Terpenes also give you that, they give you that effect that make you know that you feeling it. You know what I'm saying? They give you that feel it effect, in conjunction with the quantity of THC in the actual strain. They give you that, extra oomph when you're trying to get nice. So I learned about the terpenes, and I learned that, decent terpenes started about 1.5, 1.5 is when you start, okay, that's pretty decent. 1.7, okay. If you get up to like 2, you all right. If you at 3, you got some gas and fire. You know what I'm saying? Number 1 is like, all right, you got some smoke. 1.5, you got a little bit of smoke. You know what I'm saying? 2, 2.2, you got a little bit of, you got a little bit of, you trying to get it popping. You know what I'm saying? You got a little bit of gas. You get to 3, dog. You got smoke, gas, and fire at the same time. So be looking out for the terpenes and always ask. You know what I'm saying? I said, what are the terpenes on that? So sometimes we be getting bamboozled at the dispensary. People be looking for the THC content all the time. Oh, it's a 16. Oh, it's a 14. But the terpenes might be higher. So, if you do see something that's on sale or something that's higher in, lower in THC but higher priced, check the terpenes, because the terpenes might be higher and give it, that gas effect that everybody's looking for. But I will tell you what, I've been all right with a lot of the stuff that I've been getting, because the terpenes been right about like 1.7, 1.5, 1.9. So it's been okay. You know what I mean? So there's been a lot of strains like this strain I got now, Earthquake. The terpenes on it are 1.7, and the THC count, I think, is 26%. And man, I'll say I got not quite fire, almost some gas. Almost some gas. Not quite the gassy gasoline that we looking for, but it's pretty gassy. And it's all right. You definitely feel it. You definitely know it's there. It lasts for a long time. I got it from True Leave, if I could even say that. I'm not really sure, but if I can, what's up, True Leave? What's popping? You know what I'm saying? Give me some discounts. Whatever. But yeah, if you got a True Leave close to you ask for it. Check it out. Ask for it, and go in and ask for any of the strains. Some of these strains, I'll let you know where I get them from, because some of them that I'm learning is they got certain growers that grow for this particular dispensary. So other dispensaries may not have the strains that one dispensary might. So I'll let you know where I got it from. So just in case you're in my area, you can go check it out at the same kind of dispensary. So if it's a Curaleaf or Liberty Health Sciences or whatever it is, I'll let you know who got what, so you could get to where it's at. But you should definitely check out the Earthquake. Check out the terpenes on top of the THC. So, but I'm still looking for, high THC, now, high terpenes, I'm looking for that. So, and I can't front, people on the street still got, gas, fire, and flames. You know what I'm saying? Psh, some burning it down. So, they terpene game is pretty high, but I don't think a lot of people know, though, other than the people that's growing it. And, I'd like to do a little bit more research in that as well, to find out, how you get terpenes, or how you get more terpenes or more out of the actual bud. Because right now my prescription says low dose, and I believe that's part of what it is. So I'd like to do a little bit more research and see if I could get to a little bit of a higher dosage. So that's going to do it for Strain of the Week this week. I'm going to take a couple seconds and take a break. And when I get back, I will get into what's popping this week, which is politics, religion, and the bullshit in between. You are listening to the Deron Harris program, or actually podcast. Anyway, I'll be right back.
Walking into the building for the first time after the shooting, it was crippling, but it had to be preserved.
In response to the Pulse nightclub shooting that affected the LGBTQ community, Barbara Poma, owner of Pulse, founded the One Pulse Foundation to honor Pulse victims and survivors.
If you're an ally of this community, speak out. There are more of us together than apart. It is the power of love in its rawest form.
Join the fight for LGBTQ acceptance. Learn how at lovehasnolabels.com. Brought to you by Love Has No Labels and the Ad Council.
Hey, what's poppin', folks? Welcome back to the podcast. It's your man D. What's poppin' this week? What's poppin' this week is, and the subject is, so you say you're a Christian. Mr. Politician, really? You're a Christian? Really, dude? Really? For real? Because y'all be saying a lot of shit that don't be coinciding or corresponding with Jesus or God will be one. You know what I'm saying? There's a bunch of practices that people were practicing a long time ago that I couldn't even believe it. I know that the Southern Baptist Church at one time used to teach that being black was a sin and a curse from God. And I was like, really, man, that's crazy that somebody would actually teach that. So in that, I wanted to kind of go over, some of the things that I've been hearing, or some of the things, I'm wondering why we believe these people, man. These people get up, they swear on a stack of Bibles, and they get up there and they lie anyway. They're lying anyway, but we still continue to follow these people. We still continue to vote for them. We still continue to put them in office. They still continue to say that they believe in God or whatever. I don't understand why a Muslim or a Jew or somebody who's Hindu, as long as they're American, I don't understand the dire need for the president or all of our politicians to be these devout Christians. These, especially down in the South, you got these evangelical idiots that, and I said it, evangelical idiots, because a lot of you motherfuckers are idiots. And I will say it again, a lot of you motherfuckers are idiots down there, man, because you're teaching people wrong things. You're teaching people to do stuff wrong. You're teaching people to hate. I saw this one priest. I saw that. Well, I don't even call him a priest. I'm going to call him an idiot, because that's what he was. He was on stage in his little congregation in his church, and he was like, I love the Lord, and I love the Lord, and the Lord is great, and the Lord is all of this. But if you're a Democrat, the Lord needs to just go ahead and wipe you off the face of the earth. You Democrat, you horrible. Really? What does the Lord know about Democrats and Republicans? And let me ask you this: why would he care about them? Because they're both, there's both parties with idiots on both sides. And I will continue to say it because it's true. And I really, really am over the bullshit that they continue to portray. And when they're trying to, when they're running for office, like Trump, man, everybody's like on, they're so about Trump, but Trump is a solid liar. I mean, we've already proven that. He lies to himself and believes it, which I think is very just special. But I mean, he's just not trustworthy. But when he held up a stack of Bibles, and all of a sudden we believe this man is the holiest thing, or not me. A lot of the followers that he has thinks that he is the holier than thou president, and that's the only thing that we could ever hope for in a president. And I just think that's ridiculously wrong to, pin somebody like Donald Trump or make somebody like Donald Trump synonymous with, religion. If you believe in that kind of thing, because I'll tell you what, a lot of people don't even believe in religion. They have a lot of questions about religion these days. And I can't front. I have a lot of questions. I do believe that there's a God, that we have a higher power that governs us. And I believe in all of that. But I do have some questions about what's going on, especially down here on earth. I mean, I'm looking in the Bible. Me and my wife my mother has a church. And by the way, this podcast is brought to you by my mother's church, because that's where I am right now doing my podcast. And I know I've sworn a couple of times, but I will go over there, sit at the altar and pray, and hopefully he will forgive me. But I want to kind of go over a few things that concern me. As far as religion is concerned, and as far as religion and politics are concerned, and all this bullshit you got between them, like religion, there's these, people in the South. You can go to a black church or a white church or whatever church you go in the South, and all these Christians are in there praising God. They're worshiping the Lord and trying to do the right thing. And they, a lot of them are. They do a lot of, but everybody, they're also a bunch of hypocrites, man. I'm sitting here and I'm watching. I'm noticing. One thing I'm noticing is I went to lunch with a few people from the church, and I was noticing that everybody was getting ribs and everybody was getting, ham sandwich or, pork chops and da-da-da-da. And I was like, well, hold on, wait a minute. Didn't somebody say in the Bible that Christians shouldn't eat pork because it's unclean? Remember that? Yeah, I think I remember that someplace where somebody said pork is unclean. As a matter of fact, I think I found like 3 or 4 places in the Bible where it said that pork was unclean. Now, the bacon is great. And I love a great ham sandwich. I really do. But we have been eating pork, and the Bible says not to. Now, there's been some speculation about that. And there's also been some area where people are talking about how that has changed. Like in the New Testament, things have changed. Now it's okay. There was something where the Lord had to exercise something, and he sent the spirit of the exercised person into a pig. And by him doing that, that made it okay. Well, he killed two birds with one stone, which he exorcised this person, and he made it okay for Christians to eat pigs. And I just don't know if I 100% believe that for a couple of reasons. And I know it sounds great. I know it sounds crazy, but this is one of the reasons I don't believe some things that are said in the Bible. And I know my mother and my father might have something to say about it, but this is the reason, and I think it's a pretty legitimate reason. And the first thing I'm going to say is, who wrote the Bible? Who wrote the Bible? Who wrote the Bible? And I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think the Bible was actually written sometime like a couple of hundred, or I think 300 or 400 years after Jesus had died. So who actually wrote the Bible? You know what I'm saying? I don't know who wrote the Bible, and I don't think that many people do. And because of that, I can't understand why we would believe wholeheartedly what these people have written in this Bible, especially when we know ourselves as humans, right? It takes a couple of days for us to embellish a story. We see something, and a week later, that shit is totally changed. There's an experiment that goes around. You whisper something in one person's ear, and they whispered around, and that changes. By the time it gets around to the 100th person, what was said is totally different. So the interpretation of these people who wrote the Bible X amount of 100 years later could be skewed, or, like I said, they could serve their purpose. I don't get it. I don't understand. There's other versions of the Bible, the King James Version. And also, what does that mean about books such as the Quran and the Torah? I don't know. It really, really does, kind of, raise some questions to me. And also, we're in this planet. There's a gajillion planets out there. I'm sure one day we may come across life. Maybe not, but maybe so. And I'm sure, given the sheer vastness of our universe, that there probably are other people out there worshiping. Not worshiping, but other people out there in the universe. And I'm wondering if they are also, in fact, worshiping, the people in the Bible that they said we should worship. Are these people in the Bible that have, are the patron saints? Are these people actually patron saints? Or are they just people who just wrote about themselves in such a positive light that we all had no choice but to believe it? You know what I'm saying? Like this, for instance, we have a lot of books in the Bible, but then we have books in the Bible that I have questions to. Like, there's the book of John, the book of Timothy, the book of Mark, the book of Jacob, the book of James. There's a bunch of books of these guys, but where were these guys living in those days? These guys that they're mentioning supposedly were living back in the days with Jesus. They were Jesus's people. Right? They were Jesus's people, but Jesus was from the Middle East, right? Jesus is Middle Eastern, you know what I mean? So, or like some descent of Middle Eastern, but it's crazy to me that everybody over there in the Middle East now is named, Yusuf, or, Osama, or, Hussein, or some sort of, Arabic type name, you know what I'm saying? Or some sort of Jewish type name, for thousands of years. Where did Timothy, John, Luke, Mark, Jake, where did them dudes come from in the Bible? And not for nothing, where are they now? So I do have a problem with these things. Now, I know a lot of people are going to be like, oh, blasphemy. But you know what, though? Let me tell you another thing. We are all, like they say, we are all made in God's image, correct? We are all made in God's image. That means no matter what it is, God has given me a brain to think with, just like he's given everybody else a brain to think with. And if you think God hasn't thought this way, I got news for you. If I think this way, chances are God has thought this way also. Just like people with mental illness. You know what I'm saying? I'm willing to bet, I'm willing to believe that everybody who suffers from even severe mental illness, I bet you that God himself is well versed and has experienced all of these illnesses even physical ailments. I know that God is the foremost authority on all these ailments. You know what I'm saying? That's Express. There's $100 off suits that has just came to my inbox. But yeah, you know what I'm saying, man. I mean, it's wild to me that there's so many areas in the Bible that are up for question, but it's so baffling to me how some of us believe unconditionally that some of these things actually happened. You know what I'm saying? Like, I do believe that a lot of things in the Bible do happen, and I'm not going to go over which things and I believe and which things I don't. That's a whole nother podcast. But this is the way that I feel about it. There are some things that just don't add up to me in the Bible, and that's why I have these questions. You know what I'm saying? That's why I have these questions. So there are other people just like me, and I don't think that it's wrong to have these questions. And one thing I am tired of, though, is when I do have these questions, I'm tired of getting blown off by priests and preachers and apostles and pastors and missionaries and everybody. I just get blown off, and I just get, chalked up to, you'll learn, and only God knows, and leave it up to God. And you know what I did? And God, this is where God has brought me. Like I said, this is where God has brought me. He has brought me to a place where I question things. I'm questioning the motives of the people, because I know, especially the human race. Come on, y'all. The human race, we are famous for bending things to fit our narratives. Really. Just like somebody in the Bible wrote that it was okay to eat pork, after God said several times, which I found with ease, several times, that you cannot, and he specifically called it out, but there's not one passage in the Bible where it says, yes, you may eat the pig. Yes, you may eat pork. Yes, you can have a ham sandwich. No, not one passage where it verbally says that. It's always somebody's interpretation of what he said, interpretation of what he did. It's their interpretation of what he did. That's speculation, which means that has no basis in truth. That's crazy to me that people still put that shit up. People still don't question that. That's baffling to me. You know what I'm saying? People blame God and blame Jesus for all their bullshit that they don't want to face. They really do. And I hate to say it, there's people in my life that do the same thing. Scared to do anything. And when you confront them about it, they're like, well, the Lord made me this way, or the Lord told me to do it. No, he didn't. You told yourself to do it that way. That's what you told yourself. You know what I'm saying? The Lord said, go scream it from the mountaintops. Didn't he say that? Yes, don't hide. If you're going out to preach the word of the gospel, if that's what you're made to do, then preach the word of the gospel. But that's what you're doing. Understand that is what you're doing. You know what I'm saying? And if you've taken on that, if you've shouldered that up just like Jesus did, then there's no way that Jesus told you to hide from people, or, nobody. Jesus didn't tell you that. You told yourself that. People that are afraid of things, are overly scared of so many things that's going to hinder their life. Look at what Jesus. I'm gonna tell you what, Jesus went through so much, and you know what? I don't even think he was scared to, because he believed in his Father. And that's what I'm talking about. His Father led him in the path that he was on. So in that, I'm sure there may have been times where he may have been afraid, but he listened to his Father, and he marched on, and he shouted it from the mountaintops. You know what I'm saying? He put fear aside, and that is what it's about, is putting our fears aside and accomplishing and getting to the next level. Treating people with dignity and respect is a lot of it also. And it's really, the Bible, for me, is just really kind of a guide to as to how really you should treat people, because there are a lot of good lessons in the Bible. There are a lot of good instances in the Bible that will tell you, situations that are going on today and how to deal with those situations. You know what I'm saying? Exactly. These situations from today. I mean, Revelations to me still is one of the most scariest things I've ever read, but because things in Revelations are happening right now, and for that book to be written 2,000 years ago, like I said, there had to be a prophet somewhere. So, like I said, I do believe that some of these things are tangible. You know what I'm saying? Just like we do have prophets now. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of people down here in the South, you know, and even up in the North and out West or wherever, a lot of these evangelicals, you know what I'm saying, want to make themselves like, you know, they're the second coming of Christ or whatever. I mean, I've watched dudes hit people with they blazer and they fall on the ground like something untouched them. And dude like playing Street Fighter, you know what I'm saying? Come on, man. Stop it. You know what I'm saying? Hooting, hollering in church, all that. Listen, he gets it. I understand. He knows. He knows we love him. You know what I'm saying? He knows. He gets it. He understands. So, you know, stop using him as a crutch to not do things, or using him as an excuse not to do things, or an excuse to keep things a certain way, or an excuse not to change, or an excuse not to listen, or an excuse not to feel. Stop using our divine higher power for your excuses and for your bullshit. To all the politicians out there, stop swearing on a stack of Bibles that you're going to fix healthcare. Stop swearing on a stack of Bibles that you're going to come here and help the children. Stop swearing on a stack of Bibles that you're here for our country when really all you're here for is yourself. Stop doing that. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't believe you anyway, and I'm sorry that so many people do. And it's bullshit that everybody believes, not everybody, but a lot of people believe that so implicitly that they cannot listen to anything else. I think it's a shame. It is detestable, and it needs to stop. So that is the problem that I have with religion and politics, using religion as a basis for, you know, to set up their bullshit and con us with it. I can't stand it. And it makes me sick to my stomach because, you know, I do know some really good people who really do want to do God's work and who really do want to do good by people. I do know that, but I also know a bunch of douchebags out here that are portraying to be these people and out here pulling the wool over by people's eyes. You know, out here telling people they can't be this certain way because God told them to tell you. You know, there's so many people out there, man. You know, so many people out there that say that you need to go through them in order to talk to God. You need to come here and sit down with me and say 20 Hail Marys and blah, 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 or whatever it is. There's always something where you got to go talk to one of these divine people on earth. And let me give it to you straight like this. Sorry, we're all divine or none of us are. Simple as that. We're all people. We're all made here. We're all made from the same things that the universe is made up of. And the universe, to me also, and this is going to be controversial, also, to me, God is the universe. Everything around you. God is omnipotent and he is omnipresent, which means he sees, hears everything. He's everywhere at the same time. That is the universe. And we are definitely his children because we are made from the same things that the universe is made from. And that is a fact. You know what I'm saying? So I think there's in reality, I mean, in religion and in politics, there needs to be a bit of a reality check. There really needs to be a bit of a reality check, like a serious reality check. It really needs to be that. Because right now, it's like nobody's checking anything. You know, this guy's up here, you know, Trump just grabs the Bible and he really does. He kind of holds it up in the air like it's a ham sandwich itself. You know, and people, oh, there he is with the Bible. He must be this. No, man, he's not. He's not. You know what I'm saying? You know, they swear on a stack of Bibles. For what? You're still getting up there lying and cheating and, you know, being deceiving, and stop using it. Stop using, you know, a divine word or what people consider to be a divine word for your bullshit. Because that's what you're doing. You're using that to pull on people's heartstrings, especially people who that's all they know. They worship the Lord, and you say to yourself, if I can look like I'm them, then they'll vote for me. And that's all it is. I want Donald Trump to go out and give me a sermon. Then I'll believe it. Give me a sermon where I can actually get something out of it. Something that's not about him. Something that's not about him. Something that is about the lessons of our lives, how we can further prosper, how we can learn to love each other and embrace each other, just like I'm talking about. But like I said, all these evangelicals that follow this dude, they are so divisive. That's what I'm talking about. They're separating. They're trying to, but they want to be like, well, the rest of us ain't going in. We not going in. But y'all are? The people who follow this dude are? Come on, man. You have to miss me with that. You know what I'm saying? You want to go to church, and I got a joke. I have a joke that I used to do a long time ago, which is just like it is. I mean, you go to a church and all these Southern Baptists, they're around you, and they're always like, oh, we love Jesus, but we can't stand niggers. And that's how it is. And that's how it is still. The town I live in is really, a lot of it is like that. Me and my wife, next door to my mother's church, there's a restaurant. 2 doors down, I won't mention the name of it, but 2 doors down, there's a restaurant. Me and my wife went in there the other day to get a to-go menu just to ask. And these people act like we shit on their day by even walking in the door. First of all, we walked in there and there was a country bluegrass band in there, which I actually happen to like country and bluegrass music because I like music. You know what I'm saying? So I was kind of impressed with what was going on there, but nobody greeted us. And then finally some waiter came up to us and said, what do you need? I said, we were looking for a to-go menu if you have one. Oh, you can't take our menu with you. I said, a to-go menu, do you have one? No, we don't have that. All right, dude, peace. I'm out of here. Because I see where your attitude is. And you want to turn, they're the same person that turns around on Sundays and goes to church and sits there and Jesus loves the little children. You know what I'm saying? Sitting up there, the God said love their neighbor, but just love your white neighbors. Don't love these black ones out here now. You can't love those. God only said love these white ones out here. That's bullshit. And I'm calling you out on it. Okay? So anybody that's like that, any evangelical that's like that, I invite you, please come on my show and I will sit down with you and you can try to get me to believe your bullshit if you want to, but you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? I'm sure you do. I bet you do. So come on up here. You know what I'm saying? And any politician that wants to come up here on that bullshit, come on my show. I dare you. I fucking dare you. You know what I'm saying? I dare you. My social media is DERON Harris, Harris on Facebook, and it's Deron, Deron, Terae, Terae, Harris, Harris on Instagram. Inbox me if you want to get down, man. For real, because I'd love to hear what you have to say about this subject. I'd love it. I'd love it. I'd love it. So, I mean, I could go on for days and days and days about this, especially as I sit in my mother's church and look around. But I think I'm going to cut it short right here and maybe get back to it at another time, a later date, because I do have some questions that I really kind of want to go over with some people. So maybe I'll try to see if I can get somebody to come on my podcast and maybe answer some questions, not to get badgered, but just to have some dialogue about it, just so that I'm a little more clear and maybe some of you that are out there are a little more clear. And not for nothing, if you're just joining my show, thank you very much for tuning in. I should say that at the beginning of every show, but I do appreciate you listening, and I hope that you have gotten something out of it, and I hope that it's brought you something, or it has made you think about some things. If you agree, disagree, if you never want to listen to me again, or if you listen to me every time I come on, I do appreciate you folks listening. So I'm going to take a quick, fast couple of minutes, and when I come back, it's RV Life with the Wife. You are listening to the Deron Harris Podcast.
What if you could learn from 100 of the world's most inspiring women? Now you can. Introducing Seneca's 100 Women to Hear, a new podcast brought to you by Seneca Women and iHeartRadio in partnership with P&G. I'm Kim Azzarelli. In celebration of the 100th anniversary of American women getting the vote, we're bringing you the voices of 100 groundbreaking and history-making women. Listen to Seneca's 100 Women to Hear on iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Hey folks, welcome back to the Deron Harris Podcast. I am Deron Harris, and again, thanks for tuning back in. Thanks for sticking around. If you're just joining me, if you have never heard my show before, you guys, I will inform everybody once again, which I probably will every week anyway. My wife and I, we live full-time in a Class A RV. Currently, we are located in an RV park in North Florida. And that's where we currently reside at the moment. My mother actually lives in the same town, kind of close to us. So we are close to our support system while we get our feet underneath us, because we've only been doing this about 2 months now. And I will go ahead and say it's been pretty awesome. But one thing we haven't done is, or we haven't done a lot, is take it out. We've had it a couple of months, 2.5 months, almost 3 months, but we haven't taken it out. I drove it from the dealership, or where we were down in South Florida, up to North Florida, and then we parked it, and then we haven't driven it around since, not for a while anyway. So last weekend, we decided that we would clearing out the dump tank, pull all the electricity and stuff, and take it for a solid ride to kind of run the engine, because it is a vehicle also, and vehicles can't sit too long. You got to turn the engine over a little every now and then, give it a little bit of run, a little bit of running, give it a little bit of love, burn a little bit of gas, put a little bit more in it. So that's what we decided to do. So we decided to jump on a little highway that we like. We actually live off Highway 47 in North Florida, in Columbia County, and we took Highway 47 south, or whichever, I think it was south or east or west. We took it, we took it towards the Gulf. I think it was southwest as we were going. And we took it about an hour out, and it rode like an absolute dream. For it to be a 2004, it rode like a straight up dream. Whoever had it before us, they definitely took care of us. They took care of it, and it took care of us. It didn't, every time it cranked over right away, it didn't give us any kind of problems. And Lord, thank you very much for that. We definitely are thankful for that. And hopefully we get many more miles out of it, and it doesn't give us any problems. I know eventually, because it is a vehicle, it probably will give us some problems, and we'll have to get an oil change, and et cetera, all the things that you don't have to do with a regular house. You don't have to get the oil changed in your house. Unless you live up north, then you get, some oil burning, homes that have oil tank filled up. I know we did as a child, but I think things are a little bit different now. But we need transmission fluid from time to time, and windshield wiper fluid, and so on and so forth. And it's got to be washed down like a car, because it gets to look pretty dingy and things of that nature. And when some guy tried to charge us a couple of $100, $295 to wash our RV, wash and detail, man, you can miss me with that. I got a Dyson vacuum cleaner and some Dawn dishwashing liquid and a bucket and a broom, and I can clean this motherfucker up. So you can miss me with that $300 RV detailing fee. So, but we went to a little place where, when I was younger, I used to go to with some friends. And my friend Ron at the time, he had an RV back in he had an old Winnebago. And we used to take it out there to the same place, out here to this place. It was called the 47 Bridge. And at the time, it wasn't really, managed. It was a boat ramp, but there, it was deep enough that one side of the bridge, you could jump off into the water. And it was great. It was great. But I think some people jumped off and got hurt, and a few other people jumped off and got hurt, and a few more people jumped off and got hurt. So they put a big fence up around it. Now you can't jump off the bridge anymore. So, which I guess, now that I'm older and I look back at it, maybe it's for the better. Because real easy to go out there and fuck yourself up. Real easy. So, especially out there where there's no lifeguard or anything, and there's just woods. Because that's really what was around, is this river, 2-lane highway, and woods. And some rednecks that were out there doing some stuff. But, that's all that was really out there. But it was very beautiful. And it just made us more excited to get ready to travel a little bit more. And on the 29th of this month, we will be traveling to Orlando, Florida, because I am shooting a wedding. I'm a photographer also. I will be shooting a wedding for my wife's cousin, or my cousin-in-law. So I'll be shooting that wedding. So we'll be taking our RV, but I think we're going to leave our car because right now we don't have a tow dolly for it right now. So we're going to drive it down there, and I think we're going to rent a car once we get down there so that we can, get around. I can get to and from the wedding while I'm down there. But that's about it. We're going to take it down there and maybe spend a few extra days. My son's down there, her sister's down there, so we'll spend a few extra days. We got some season passes to Universal Studios, so maybe make a whole kind of vacation deal out of the whole thing. So maybe it'll be all right. You know what I mean? Know what I'm saying? So, and if anybody's thinking about the RV life, definitely do your research. But like I said, so far for us, so good. We absolutely love it. Also, if you're thinking about it, make sure you and your person, are tight like that. You know what I'm saying? Because it's a little bit of space, and that's exactly what it is. A little bit of space. It's everything you need, nothing you don't. We got a little bit of storage underneath. We don't have a lot of stuff. We don't have a bunch of furniture anymore. We have downsized altogether. It is liberating. We can get any place we want to. We travel as much as we can outside of the RV. We've been traveling, so now that we have this RV, we are just really excited to continue to travel and all of that stuff. So, yeah, that's it. And that's pretty much what we did this week. We took it out, gave it a good solid run. We got it back. But I did want to say this also. It is as wide as the lane. A Class A RV is not like driving any kind of truck or anything like that. It is a Class A RV. It is like driving a Class A or a Greyhound bus. And it is, for a lack of a better, it is stressful because there's very, very little margin for error because you only have, the thing is almost as wide as the lane. You have, especially on a little 2-lane highway, oh my goodness. It was super stressful. My ass was so clenched up. It was just gripping onto the seat, just gripping it because I didn't want to go over the lane or I didn't want to run off the road. It was just really like, ugh. So it was definitely perilous, but my mom, she has a CDL and she can drive a tractor trailer. That woman is awesome, but she told me the more that you drive it, the more you get used to it. Once you get used to it, it's a lot better. So I'm looking forward to it, looking forward to traveling, and so is my wife, my dogs, and everything. I'm looking forward to seeing the country as much as I can of it, and learning as much, and maybe meeting some people, who listen to my podcast or whatever. So definitely happy about that. And that's going to do it for this week's episode of RV Life with the Wife. And with that conclusion, that is going to conclude the rest of the Deron Harris podcast as well. I would like to thank you, my listeners. I would like to thank my producer, Gentry Thomas. I would like to thank my best friend, Jay Yandel, for giving me this opportunity and also encouraging me and pushing me to do my podcast and giving me the platform to do it on. And I want to thank everybody who has tuned in and listened in the past, everybody who's listened, who doesn't listen anymore, the people who listen who's still listening, the people who have not yet listened, the people who joined me today. I thank you all so very much for listening to me, and it does really mean a lot to me. You can reach me on Twitter at Deron Harris, and that's at DeronHarris. Facebook, like I said before, is DeronT, as in Thomas, Harris, Harris, and my Instagram is Deron Terae, Terae, Harris, Harris, comedian, and that's on Instagram. So I do have a TikTok, but I don't really TikTok a whole much. I Instagram a little bit more, but I guess I should get back into TikToking, huh? But it's I'm kind of reluctant, especially all this shit going on with China, and that's where it comes from. So I don't know, but that's for another podcast. So, all right, folks, I think that's going to do it for me for this week. I will hopefully see you guys back here next week. Again, I don't know what I'm going to be talking about. I'm going to be talking about something. So join me next week. All right, love you guys. Thanks. Peace.